Hello there, fellow listeners. The Table Podcast is now accepting donations from audience. So if you like the value we provide, please donate at anchor.fm/onecreate/support. Your monthly contribution will assist us in acquiring better equipment, sustaining future episodes, having larger guests, providing more value, and pursuing full-time production. That's anchor.fm/onecreate/support. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Mike, Jay, Zach, and I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and we hope you enjoy the show. Table Podcast, episode 6, Doing What You Love. What is up, guys? I'm your host, Barry Almeria. With me today, we got the John Michael Bennett and the Jay Jackson. And on the left of me, or on the right in the camera, I don't know if you can see it, we got Maneesha Moua, the most beautiful girl in the world. She is a baker here in the local Petaluma, California. And I want to say hi. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Awesome. Today's episode is titled Doing What You Love. And this is our first episode that's going to be monetized. So I'm looking forward, expecting for this episode to get monetized. This episode is also taking in listener support. So if you decide to go ahead and support us, you can go on over on anchor.fm/onecreate/support. $1, $5, $10, anything helps. It helps us build better equipment, have bigger guests, and just having the opportunity to produce full time. So if you do decide to support us, we want to say thank you for the bottom of my heart. So, all right, cool.
Absolutely.
Sweet. All right, so Maneesha Moua, she is a baker. She actually got introduced by your mom, and I did a free promo video for her, and I had so much fun making that video, and it got lots of hits on Instagram. I actually gained some followers after that too, so it was great. She was my first one. She was my first subject, and I actually came in, and I didn't have a plan on how to shoot your video. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to shoot it like it's Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So
Mr. Rogers was awesome. It worked out perfect.
Yeah, it worked out perfect.
Like, I mean, it was perfect.
So people at work was like, hey, we definitely feel the vibe of Mr. Rogers. I was like, yeah, well, I was trying to accomplish. So, but Maneesha, thank you for being on the show. It's an honor. Want to introduce yourself a little bit to us and how you got started into baking and what you love about baking and stuff like that. So
yeah. So I have a cake business named Sweets by Maneesha, and I'm based in Sonoma County. Like this podcast, we're all just figuring out what we love to do, following our passion, and that's basically what I do. My love is cakes and making events and celebrations more special.
Awesome.
And how'd you find your passion? Like, did you find out like when you were young, like your parents introduced you, like family members, or how did you find it?
A lot of it was family who would bake with me, teach me how to bake, and I was just this young little girl. But I would watch a lot of Food Network, a lot of Martha Stewart. I had Martha Stewart on demand, like a lot of the Food Network challenges, the cake challenges. I was always fascinated by it. And I always wanted to do it, never knew how. And I'm just learning as I go.
Yeah, right on. So she made a few cakes for me back in the. She made a cake for Phil,
Nice.
one of our coworkers, and she also made a cake for my daughter, and it was just bomb. Our mouths were like watering. I think you made like a caramel something for Phil, that my coworkers. But yeah, it was really good. Even the people at work were like, "Well, this is really good." So
Well, she also shared with us
right
today,
here.
so you know, I mean, it's phenomenal.
She gifted us with some sweets, so
Some brownies and scones. So
yeah, it's perfect time because we got work weigh-ins next month.
Yeah.
But what do you love about baking? Is it to make people happy, or is it the process of baking? Like, what do you love about baking and making cakes? And
I just love everything about it.
Yeah.
I just love putting all these ingredients together, and when you put it in the oven, you take it out, you just get this delicious treat. Like when I bake something, I bake it because I want to eat it.
yeah, there you go.
But I mean, the best part about the cake business is that when people pick up their cakes and they see this vision that they have, and I get to bring it to life, and I get to see their reaction, it's the best thing. Like,
yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, it's like people, they've told me too, I've always wanted a cake like this, and I'm like, well, thank you for choosing me to make that cake.
Awesome.
Do you have a few friendly competitions out in town?
I do. Yeah, I do. And I do remember when I first started, it was hard, like comparing myself to them. But in the end, we're all just doing what we love.
Right.
And you just have to support everyone.
Right.
Because we're all on the same road.
Do you mentor people too? Like if they come for you for help, or do you mentor
Yeah,
them?
I actually have a friend who makes macarons.
Okay.
She recently moved up here from LA, and she's trying to open up her own bakery. So she's in the process of building like a clientele, and I kept pushing her to open up a business account, like Instagram account. So I just teach her everything I know that I've learned on the way.
That's a real friend right there.
Yeah.
You guys have anything?
Do you, when you're baking, do you ever like get lost in it to the point where you forget that you're baking and you're just like on auto and you're thinking about the day and just get so lost in it?
Yeah, well, when I bake, I put headphones on too, and
Okay.
I listen to podcasts, and I just go at it.
She's gonna be listening to this podcast.
Yeah, that's cool. It's like an escape, or like a, like when I'm at the gym, sometimes I forget I'm there and I'm just going through the motions, and just getting lost in the art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel that this is a really appropriate title for this podcast of doing what you love, right? For this episode, doing what you love, because a couple of things that you hit on is the fact that you're creating something with your hands, mm-hmm. and you're really enjoying that feeling of fulfillment from creating and crafting something from your own two hands. And a lot of people right now are struggling with things of feelings of they don't feel fulfilled, right? They're walking around each and every day and stuff, and they wake up Monday through Friday, they go to work doing the whole 9 to 5 on the grind, and they don't feel fulfilled at the end of the work week. But by pursuing your passion, by doing something that you love, you're able to have that feeling of fulfillment, and then also your service to others. You spoke to how much you enjoy the look on other people's faces and stuff like that whenever you've created this masterpiece. And I definitely welcome everybody to check her out on Instagram, because
sure, there's some masterpieces on that page, bro. Let me tell you,
straight artwork going on there. You definitely bridge that gap between baking and art, and so it made that into an art form. But that service to others, and that's one of the things that Barry hits on a lot. And when he and I we talk offline and stuff like that, is what is he providing to others? And I know that that's a big passion thing for Jay as well. And so to hear you talk about that service that you're providing to others, and it's like, your face just kind of lit up and stuff. You're like, I love serving the community and stuff. So that's pretty powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right on. So, so where do you see yourself in the future?
I really want to build my own industrial kitchen where I can bake more goods, because I just do everything out of my apartment. Like, oven's really small, so I'm baking each cake, and it takes me an hour. So I really want that space away from home where I can just
Do a little bit
tune
more.
out, tune out work and focus on the cakes. Because having a dirty kitchen just drives me crazy in my house. But yeah, that's my next step is to have that industrial kitchen, and then I really want to do wedding cakes, and solely wedding cakes, because I just love the process. Like, having the cake tastings, meeting each couple, everyone's different, and everyone's like creating their dream wedding. And I always loved weddings ever since I was a kid. Always fascinated by it. So now that I can be a part of something I grew up loving, cakes and weddings, it, like, those two together is just something that I really want to strive for. And it's crazy to me that I have like a line of weddings this year to do.
Yeah.
And you've done your first wedding last year, right? Or was that
Yeah,
your first one?
I did it last year, and I like I didn't have anything on my page showing that I do wedding cakes. So this couple approached me, and they asked me to make their wedding cake, and I was like, sure, because that's what I want to do. That's my step. So I just had to go for it, and it was hard, really stressful, but I'm still learning.
Right.
And after every wedding that I do, I feel more confident about it.
Good.
Yeah.
So when your first wedding cake, did you feel like, oh man, how am I gonna do this? Am I gonna
Yes.
Yeah, were you like nervous at the same time?
Very nervous.
Scared to fail. That fear of failure was there. Like, it always lingers, right? Like, yeah.
Afraid the cake might fall.
Right.
Fall apart, and then they have no cake.
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And that's the thing with creation too. Like, when you create something, it's the fear of failure, right? Like, but you can't have that stop you.
You gotta accept the challenge.
You gotta accept the challenge. Yeah, it's crazy. Right, exactly. My only fear is that when I read Yelp reviews about services and products and goods, I just read all like the negative comments sometimes, and I'm just like, dude, but you just gotta understand, like,
Some people are on there just hating too, though.
right, exactly. But you gotta understand, like, too, like, no one, you can't make everyone happy, right?
Yeah.
It's
You'll spend your
it's
life
just the way
being
it is,
sad.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah. So
Let's see. Let's touch on why people are scared to look like fools when learning a new skill. I think part of the reason is because, when you're a novice or you're just starting at something, like, you already, chances are you've already looked at the best person to do it, so you're already like comparing yourself to whatever field you may be in. Say if you do kung fu, you're already watching the videos of Bruce Lee, and you're like, oh, look how he does this, or so you're already you're comparing yourself to the greats already, and it takes 2,000 hours at something to be a professional.
Yeah.
So it takes a long time to become substantially like good at one particular skill, let alone, when you add more skills to it, it takes more time. And I think people are, they get intimidated by the process, because like we're talking about, failure is one thing in there. That's like the mountain, nobody wants to fail. You don't want your cake to fall. I don't want my artwork to look like trash. Barry wants his videos looking, but that takes time, and not just a week or 2 or 3. Like, that can take years or decades, or it depends on what your challenge is and what your skills are. So I think it can be a little intimidating when you start something. Like, in order to get smarter at something, you have to be kind of lame and dumb at it in the beginning, because you're not going to know anything until you read or until you work out or in the gym. You have to make yourself weak in order to become stronger. And it's a long, it can be a grueling process, you know, depending on, you know, if you're studying, you know, astrophysics or whatever. Like, you're not gonna just become the greatest overnight. And a lot of people see that and be like, you know what, I'm not even gonna attempt, because, you know, we make up scenarios in our head about how we think things should go, and then 9 times out of 10 it doesn't even go that way. Like, not even close. It's either way better or way worse, you know. So I think that's one of the things.
Manisha, like when you had your first cake client, how did that feel? Like,
I can't even remember my first cake
Yeah.
client. Yeah, I do remember having my first big order. It was probably just a baby shower and a bunch of cupcakes. It's definitely a challenge, but I'm one of those people who, when I have a goal or if I'm given a challenge, I have to finish it. So, honestly, like when people ask me to make their cakes, it's so hard for me to say no. Yeah. But I can't remember my first client.
how many hours did you put into like practice to actually? Because when I see your stuff on Instagram, I'm just like, damn, those designs, those the icings, the like just everything was just like, wow. Like as an up and coming like baker, you're just like, you're already up there. I'm just like, dude, that is like top notch like stuff, top notch artwork too. And it's just like, how many hours did you put into those skills? Like
A lot of hours.
a lot of hours. Yeah.
I was telling them earlier, I worked at Sift for, I think it was a year or two. And that's where I learned how to frost cupcakes and frost a cake. And that's where I learned how to do all the custom fondant stuff. Like, when I started working there, we had someone who was in charge of all the fondant stuff. And I really loved everything she did. And then she left the company, and I decided to just take orders because I really wanted to. They didn't ask me to do it, but I was like, I can do it. So that's how I learned how to do all the fondant stuff and the custom work. So it's really, if I didn't work at Sift, I wouldn't be doing cakes today. Yeah. But it was the people there who taught me how to frost a cake and decorate. And then I just started doing it on my own. Like when I had my full-time job,
Okay.
my boss asked me to make birthday cakes, and that was my practice. I would make everyone's birthday cakes. Like, birthdays are almost every month, so every month I would get the chance to make a cake, and that was where I had the chance to challenge myself and perfect how I frost a cake. Because I remember the first cake that I made for my work, I look at it, I'm like, no, that's not what I can do anymore. Like, I'm not gonna make my cake look like that anymore. But I when I look at the pictures from the first one to my last one since I worked there, it really shows like everything that I learned since the first cake to the last.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, cause when I do my videos, when I made my first video, I was like, dude, that looks so amateurish. What is that? Why does it look so grainy and so like the lighting is all out of place and stuff like that? And then I started YouTubing and doing my own research and put in the hours, like sleeping at 12 o'clock at midnight just to practice editing stuff. I mean, when I look at my old videos now, it's just like, wow, I can never ever make that type of video today. But with your baking stuff, how many times have you like felt like, oh, you know, I thought this could have been better, or I thought this, or you thought that maybe this cake was a bit of a failure? Did you ever felt like that? Like, do you felt like, you know, just being better, like being your own worst critic?
Yeah, in the beginning I felt that a lot because there when I run my business on Instagram, I see other people's cakes and I'm like, I could never do that. But now I do it so much that it's easy for me. But in the past, I definitely felt that. Yeah. I've actually had a customer who messaged me back the next morning and said they didn't like their cake, and that just killed me. Yeah. But that whole day, I just felt so down. But you get back up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's gonna
you just have to take that energy and just put it towards
the next cake.
Exactly.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because no, your product or whatever you're serving or whatever you're putting out there in the world, it's never going to be perfect, right? Like I always think my last video that I made, I was just like, dude, I think it was like, that was a good video, but that's never a perfect video. So. Mike, you got anything to touch on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a repeating theme basically on from what you guys are hitting on, and that's talent versus skill. All right, talent, that's something you just have a natural aptitude for, just a natural ability to do and accomplish. But then skill, that's developed over time. Skill that every time you guys create something, and that you go through that creative process, whether it's through the baking or whether it's through the content creation, or like with Jay, like with through his artwork, you guys are building upon each level, right? So you guys are literally leveling up each time that you guys create something. And so there's so much skill building that's going on every time that you guys are creating. And for me, you guys have really, really hit on a lot of the challenges that entrepreneurs face and the challenges that people face whenever they are trying to pursue their passion. Jay, you talked about, being afraid to look like a fool and stuff like that in front of others, right? So that fear of not being accepted by others, that's a huge challenge that a lot of people face whenever they want to become an entrepreneur or they want to start a business or something like that, because they have to stand out from the crowd. They're not doing what the crowd does, right?
Right.
According to Zippia, the average American works 34.4 hours per week as of May of 2019. For people between the ages of 25 and 54, the national average work week comes in at 40.5 hours. So for you to sit here and say, hey, I'm not going to do what the average person is doing. I'm going to do more. I'm going to do different. I'm going to choose my own path, right? To do what I love. That's saying, yay, I'm going to stand out. All right. And the fear of public speaking is a fear that so many people have because people don't like the spotlight. People like to blend in with the crowd, right?
Right.
And
Some people.
Yeah, it's comfortable, right? So stepping out of that comfort zone is a huge challenge that most people are going to face whenever they go to pursue their passion. Another thing that's gonna hit them is Maneesha. She kind of touched on it there with the willpower, right? Having that willpower to sit here and say, hey, this is what I produced. Now I'm gonna try to produce something else moving forward, right? And it takes willpower, it takes effort, because we live in a day and age to where we have almost instant gratification for most of the things that we do. Mm-hmm. And when it's just like you see it at the gym all the time, right? People, they'll get started with a workout routine. They'll knock out that workout routine for like a week or two.
Like resolutions, like New Year's resolutions.
Exactly, right? And then, it'll still be in the month of January and, they don't look like Mr. Olympia and
gone.
Yep. Because we're used to that instant gratification, right? That's the day and age we live in. And so to have the willpower to have delayed gratification is super powerful, right? And stepping outside of that comfort zone. And I think another huge challenge for pursuing your passion and doing what you love is we have haters, right? And we have those that love us. And both of them will sit here and say, hey, stay inside the comfort zone. Do what you're comfortable with doing. Do what you've always done. And they're telling you that for different reasons, right? The haters will say it because they don't believe in you. Right? But the people that love you, they'll tell you, hey, it's okay. You don't got, stick with this job because it's secure. Don't take those chances. But they're saying it from a place of love because they don't want to see you hurt
or fail.
Right? Absolutely. Right. It's like if you're a kid and you want to see the view from the top of that tree and you start climbing that tree and people are like, hey man, get out, you're gonna fall, break your arm, this, that, and the other. It's that same. It's coming from a place of love.
Protection.
Exactly. So, that's a huge challenge though, because those are the people that we often look to for support, and when they're telling us, hey man, stay here on the sidewalk where it's safe. Mm-hmm. So it makes it really tough. So the fact that everybody here has been able to say, hey, to all the haters out there, I'm gonna go my own way, and to tell everybody that they love, hey, I believe in me. I need you to believe in me. I'm gonna go my own way. All right, like that's overcoming those challenges for sure.
For sure.
And I think that's actually a good point too, because I think Maneesha, I think you felt this too, and with my video thing and Jay's business, I think it's because we so love doing what we do. Like you love baking, I love video stuff, you love your artwork, but we got to look at it too like it's something way bigger than us, right? It's really just about going back to service, right? You're out there, you're putting yourself out there, you're putting your work out there, and the service that you provide is what's gonna last. Like when I'm gone, like how dark it may sound, but if I die next week, right, people are gonna forget me as the person, right? But if they look at my legacy and the work that I've done and the impact that I made in the world, and we actually spoke about this on a couple podcasts ago, but that's what they're gonna remember, is what impact you made to other people. And the impact that you make with your cakes is like, wow, Maneesha, it's not about the cakes, it's the impact that you make. It's the service that you provide, right? So
yeah. I think I'm really lucky because my mom is a huge role model to me. Don't tell her this.
Well, I won't give her this podcast.
I know. She's gonna be like, yeah, I did that. But she used to work a 9-to-5 job, and that's how she supported our family. And she always knew she loved to cut hair. And she knew she always wanted to work at a barbershop. And so she finally went to school for it and finally got a job at a barbershop. And now she's good. Like, she's doing everything she wants to do. So that's kind of my motivation, because my mom's such a hard worker and she's doing what she loves to do. She's doing good in life, and that's what's pushing me to keep focusing on my cakes, is to just keep doing what I do, because I can make something out of it. Right. She went to a fortune teller maybe 3 years ago. Yeah. And she told me, she was like, Maneesha, call me right now. And I was like, okay. She's like, I went to go see a fortune teller. I'm like, you're crazy. She's like, no, I really believe in this. And she told me, she was like, she asked the fortune teller about her daughter, me. And the fortune teller was like, I really see something, like something's going to happen to your daughter in a year. And it's something to do with words and pictures. And she's going to be in the spotlight. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a writer. I don't want to be in front of the camera. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that's not what I'm going to do. So now that this cake business has taken off, I think I know what it is now. And the words are probably the Instagram account.
That is dope. That is, and look, you're
in
on
front
a
of a
podcast.
camera. There it is.
Yeah,
Wow.
I like when she told me about it, I was like, that's crazy. But I think what a fortune teller really is like it's just guiding you to a certain place in your life.
Yeah.
And that's what my mom did for me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's pretty cool. That comes of like a rarity nowadays, because sometimes parents would dissuade their children not to pursue their passions. But your mom is a rarity. So your mom, she became the example, because you said that she always wanted to cut hair, and she's doing it, and she's become really successful. And now that she's showing that she's being successful, she's showing it to you, and you're just like, wow, I gotta do what I love to do. And your mom actually, it fuels the fire, yeah. Hence why I'm doing my video too, and pursuing entrepreneurship, to show my daughter when she grows up, it's like, hey, whatever you want to pursue in life, do it. You know, you can definitely do it, because I'm definitely doing it. It's not gonna be an easy path. You know, you're gonna face failures and challenges along the way, but you know, you just gotta do it. So, all right, moving on. Go ahead, Mike. You can go with your topic there. So.
Yeah, definitely. You know, one of the things I wanted to hit on today, right, is working a job to water the business, right? And it's something that I'm currently doing, right? Right? Jay's
Same.
doing it, right? You know, I know Barry's doing it as well, you know. And Maneesha, did you, so prior to becoming an entrepreneur, starting your own business, did you have to work to create some seed money to kind of like buy supplies and stuff like that to kind of get you where you were?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of like it's that aspect that a lot of people don't really think about whenever they start entrepreneurship. A lot of times I think people will sit here and be like, hey, I want to start a business doing this thing over here. And sometimes they might feel like their current job or position is holding them back from it. But there's a way to utilize what you're currently doing to get you to where you need to go, just and by viewing it as a stepping stone. You know, yeah. And so, you know, using that as a stepping stone to get you to where you're trying to go. One of the things that I've noticed is you get out of things what you put into them. And you have to have that startup capital. All right. You have to, and I know we spoke with Seafood Evans, and one of his things was, hey, you know, I worked hard, busted my butt, so that he could own what he built. All right. He didn't owe it to creditors. He didn't owe it to lenders. He owned what he built. And so I think that should be a strong focal point of, hey, I gotta live like this till I can live like that. You know, I gotta live like this so that I can live like that. You know, I have a full-time career that I'm doing. I got a part-time gig, you know, that I do as well, and then I have the startup. You know, I have the business that I run as well, and so just like how with financial investments, how you can kind of invest over here, all right, and then you start taking some of the profits from these investments and kind of
disperse.
Exactly, right. Kind of build up other things. That's kind of what we got to do with our primary job until we can fund that doing what we love to do.
Right. Absolutely. I just want to touch up on that too. So like, Kevin Samuels, I don't know if you are familiar with Kevin Samuels, but he was talking to a young man, and he was just like, on his YouTube channel, he was like, look, you're fat, you're broke, and you're not getting anywhere in life. You know, you need to get yourself a job at like McDonald's somewhere, work that job, save up some money, and become a high value person. And some people will look at that as just like, oh, why is he gonna work at McDonald's? Like, why is he? I was like, well, it's a job. Yeah, it's a job. Right, it's a job. It doesn't mean that he's gonna work there for. If he wants to work there forever, hey, he's good too. Good for it. But he's gonna use that job to save up that money to open up a business, or to invest in his education, or to invest in stocks or whatever, right? And so I think people today they're just too proud to look down at those like menial jobs, when those menial jobs are actually very useful. You don't have to look down on those type of people. If you see somebody who's struggling, and there's just like, this is the only job that the opportunity that's presented to me, I might as well work at it, and then save up that money. And I'm not going to stay at that job forever, right? But with me, personally, I came in living life naive, young, right? Came in, and I really didn't have any a passion. Well, I did, but I've disregarded that calling in life, is to be a producer, filmmaking. I thought that coming in into the world, I thought that I'm gonna work the 9 to 5, raise a family, retire, and that's it, right? Retire with a golden fence. And then I woke up and I was just like, dude, this is not the answer, dude. There's just something. There's gotta be something to life, right? And then I got into minimalism, and I got into finances, and why people try to stay up with the Joneses and stuff like that. I was just like, holy crap, that really opened my mind to everything. So I was sort of red pilled from the Matrix, right? So but coming in, I had many passions in life, and episode 6 is doing what you love, and this episode is, I came in and I was like, I loved fitness at first, but then I didn't see myself as like open up a gym. I actually was trying to go for a personal trainer certification, but that I didn't follow through with that, because like, what, this is not me. And there was this calling inside me. It's like, hey, do videography, do producing, do production, do content creation. And it's like, no, there's no money in that. Like, what am I gonna do? There's no money in that. People are gonna look at me like, oh, you're stupid. Like, what are you doing that? Like, And so I still stayed in the blue pill type of way of thinking. And then I finally woke up. I was just like, this voice is not gonna stop. It's still bothering me to this very day. And I was like, I'm gonna pick up a camera and I'm gonna create something. Even though my first video was the most crappiest video, it was very crappy. It was a Father's Day thing, I believe. It was a Father's Day thing. Well, my daughter was still like maybe 6 months old. I think I still have it somewhere in the internet, but it was good though. I think I liked it, but it was crappy. But it was the fact that I picked it up, and it was the process that made me so damn happy. And I didn't care if it got 0 views. I didn't care if it was crappy. I just loved it. I was just like, dude, this is it. Like, this voice inside me was bothering me inside. I don't know if it was a spiritual thing or something like that, but I know if you probably, I think every one of us in this table probably go through that. Like, I love doing this, but it didn't really fall through, and then we've always disregarded some type of calling. Maneesha, have you felt that before? Like, growing up, like, you thought you were this, but then it wasn't really that.
Yeah, especially when I graduated high school. When you go to college, you have to choose a major, and I just kept changing my major like crazy. But in the end of the day, I always knew I wanted to do a culinary route, pastries, and I steered away from that. Worked at the bank. That was my full-time job, thinking, okay, maybe I can just work at an office job. But in the end, it ended up being culinary again. So when I opened my Instagram account, I wanted to do not just cakes. I wanted to do other stuff, like the cake pops and the cookies and the cakes, but everyone asked me to make cakes, and that just ended up being the niche.
Right.
That's why my page is called Sweets by Maneesha, not Cakes by Maneesha. It's because I thought I was gonna do everything else, but you know, everyone sees what your what your strongest skill is, and that was the cakes. So definitely changed my mind on like the career path and what I wanted to focus on.
Yeah, I just wonder why we go through that a lot. Like we go through a lot of transitions in life, and we've always disregard some sort of like calling. Is it because we're scared of it? Are we scared of that voice inside to look because we're scared of looking like to look dumb?
I think in the beginning,
Yeah.
in the beginning, until you finally decide to embark on that journey, and then you're like, oh, why did I wait so long? Like this is me right here. Like I should have. But you got to get the courage to take that one step, that first step. You know, like when you did your first cake for someone, or like your first wedding, or you know, in the beginning you were like, oh, this is kind of intimidating. Like I don't know, do I got this? But it was still challenge accepted, and then you ended up coming out victorious on top. So you had to take that first step first. You know, I'm sure.
How about you, Mike? Have you ever gone through like multiple transitions in life and what you wanted to do, what your purpose was, what your calling was, or whatever?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I would say every 10 years, people typically change, right? Like you know, you look back 10 years ago, and you know you wanted to be this and do that and this, that, and the other, right? And I think that comes from the way we naturally look at problems and solutions and stuff like that. We always try to start from the beginning, but I think if we work the problem in reverse, and we said, hey, this is my love, this is my passion, this is the thing that I want to do to make a living. How do I get to where I can do that full time? And then by having that end in mind, I think it'll help us to do those stepping stone jobs and to take those stepping stone positions, because we don't feel like they're dead end. We don't feel like we're stuck doing it, right? Like, you know, if you're doing roofing and you're like, oh, roofing is hard work. This is grueling labor. But you know, my goal is to someday have a business doing something else. You know, having that hope, having that end goal in mind helps you to get through those roofing jobs. And it's just like that with any job, right? You mentioned fast food employees and stuff like that. You know, if you start there, you could end managing that fast food restaurant, right? You could end, you know, as a regional manager, district manager, right? If that's your goal, if that's your passion, or if you have another passion in a different industry, hey, I'm gonna do what I can do now to get to where I want to be. But often what happens is somebody will say, hey, I'm gonna take this job here and I'm gonna work my way to the job that I want. But every single step along the way, when there's these little distractions, they follow those distractions, right? Like they could be saving up for a business, and a new model of a vehicle comes out, and they're like, "Yo, I got to get that," and now they're making payments on it, right? New iPhone comes out every few months, it feels like, right? And they got to have the newest iPhone all the time, right? You know, all you know, every time some new technology comes out, they're grabbing it. Every time a new Marvel movie comes out, you know, they're going to the movies. They're always going out to eat. So all they're doing is trading what they want right now for what they want then.
Yeah.
And so, you know, pitting a stop to that, you know, stop sacrificing your future for your present, you know?
Absolutely. Invest in the future, like, you know, invest in that future, invest in that business.
I think it's discipline too. You know, you got to be self-disciplined in order to get that one down, because that can be a tough one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Discipline. Yeah, that's yeah. It's lacking. It's lacking in today's world is discipline. But I'm not perfect because I need lots of discipline. Yeah, it's just been a crazy week, and it's crazy because what the life that I want, everything is just closing in right now. Everything is so chaotic. I think that the universe is telling me the life that you want, everything is gonna come crumbling down on you. That means you have to carry on your own weight and everything. And I'm experiencing it right now. I'm like there's weeks, Maneesha, where I'm just like super burnt out. I'm thinking about my next my YouTube content, how I'm gonna monetize my podcast, how I'm gonna get support my family doing what I love. When you pick a path, the universe is just like, all right, here you go,
Here it comes.
Figure it out, make it happen, right? And then you just have to find people who are on the same path too, like Mike, Jay, Maneesha, Zach, because we're a support system, because we're all in that same
in the
path
same
too,
boat,
in the same
yeah.
boat, right? So we all want to see each other succeed. And that's why Mike calls us the table, because we all have the room to eat, and we all have the room to be successful. So when I first met Maneesha, I was like, man, this girl has a lot of talent. She's I really support her. I support her work. I've bought cakes from her. There's no way I'm gonna ever buy cakes from anywhere else again. For a special occasion, I'm just gonna go to Maneesha because I'm like Maneesha. And Maneesha, she gets like booked out. She gets like booked out like months ahead. So how do you like not feel like that burnout? Like, do you?
Oh, I feel it.
You feel it?
Yeah. I feel it, especially because I'm looking down so much in my kitchen for hours. So exactly. Not only do I feel it mentally, I feel it physically. Yeah. But what was the subject?
Like, how do you not feel burnt out? Like, how do you? Yeah, how do you just go through it? And because you get booked, because when you're on your Instagram, you said you're booked out. You have to book your cake for like 3 months ahead of time, I think. Yeah, so that's how it is, guys.
That's cool.
It is really overwhelming. Like, there will be days where I have so many message requests on the page where I just don't want to touch my phone. And I don't want to open my Instagram app because it'll see
what's coming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And once I start replying to messages, it will not stop. Like, I'm replying to messages for maybe 2 hours. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. But at the same time, I have to be so grateful for it, because I wanted this to happen. I wanted to have people order cakes from me. So I take a breather and I get to work.
Yeah. It comes with the territory, I guess.
Yeah.
Comes with it's like, yeah, man, you gotta just have to pick your poison. It's like, you work your 9 to 5 for the next 65 years and die when you're old, or you're gonna
make these cakes.
And you're gonna make cakes, or you're gonna make a dent in the universe. Because making a dent in the universe is not, it's not easy, bro. It's not easy making an impact, for sure. But I'm just truly support of people making a change in the universe, making a change in the world. I just I want to salute these people, bro. Like, entrepreneurs that making a positive impact to the world, because the world is very chaotic, and the way that we we're all different in a way, but at the end of the day, we all bleed red. So success is silence. Your actions are the noise, right? I think success is you work in silence, right? You try not to like brag about what you do or your accomplishments, but your actions is what propels you to, your reputation, propels who you are. That's why when you have repeat customers, they say like, yeah, this Barry's video service is really good. I want to go back to him because it's his actions and his work ethic, his professionalism. Maneesha's cakes, the way that she, boxes
Even the
presentation, and she puts her business card in the box. It's like, this is for other people to, so other people will be like, oh, what is that? Sweets by Maneesha, It's her actions, right? It's our actions is what propels us. What do you think, Mike?
Absolutely. I love that saying, success is silence, your actions are the noise. We've all heard that saying, actions speak louder than words. So our actions speak for us. The steps that we're taking to do what we love to do, to pursue those passions, people don't see those steps, right? It's like one of the things that a lot of successful people get a lot of bad publicity for is how they spend their wealth, right? The way they collect their riches and they show their riches, right? And it's because nobody saw how many times that person told themselves no, how many times they denied themselves what they want. Nobody saw, nobody was there to witness that. But now that they're witnessing that person tell themselves yes, all right, it looks like they're being wasteful and this, that, and the other. But no. For years, right? This person may have been saying, no, I can't have this. All my buddies are going out. No, I can't go with them tonight. I got to save up for this business, right? Or, all my friends are taking a trip to here. Well, that's a $1,200 trip or $3,000 trip. I gotta funnel this back into the business. All right. So nobody sees the no's. People only pay attention to the yeses. It's just like when you see one of the cakes that Maneesha makes, right?
You don't see the process.
Exactly. You don't see the trial and the error. You don't see the, you're like, oh, she would have had to have been born the most talented person in the world to produce those cakes and to this level without having to
a hiccup,
every
like and again.
And so it's that skill building. So nobody sees the no's, man. Nobody sees the no's. Everybody just sees they just hear the yeses.
Yeah, absolutely. Like everybody sees the end product, right? But nobody sees the struggle that everybody goes through. And I know Maneesha, she's probably in her kitchen, she's like, oh man, this sucks. Or
all the
time, right? Are there days where you just feel like you're just fed up, like, oh man, like you just can't figure out how to do this or how to do that?
Yeah, it's always when I frost a cake because everything has to look smooth, no air bubbles. I start over. If it doesn't look good, I start over. But I like, it gets to a point where I do it so many times that I have to ask my boyfriend, tell me, does this look fine? Because I just need a blind eye. And he's like, yeah, it looks fine. I'm like, but what about that spot? Nobody will notice. So I definitely kick myself in the butt a lot for all those little imperfections.
But that's good. Like you're chasing greatness, You're not just putting out, whatever, my product looks like this, I'm gonna just put it out anyway. Like you want to make sure your client is getting the best possible thing that you can create for them. So that speaks volumes on your part,
How about you, Jay, with your artwork? Do you feel like there's days when when you're so creative, you have that creative process going in your mind, but you can't figure out, what you want to display?
Yeah, it happens. Like with some of those paintings that I was showing you earlier, like sometimes even just figuring out, okay, what do I even want to put down on this on the canvas? Like what design, what art am I going to use? Color, black and white? Am I going to use what size is it going to be? Or so it's just, it can be tough. But I think once you make a decision and you go with it, like if you mess up at 100 miles an hour, I'm sure you guys have heard that, so that's kind of how I do it. I try to put out the best possible. So with artwork, it can be a little different. Like a mistake can actually be like, you can capitalize on it, or you can at least I try to, if like something's drying this way, or I can't, it's too late for me to fix something, I'll try to make it into something else. I'll just try to use my creativity to, add something to it, or, if I have to leave it, I will. But if I can make it look okay or fix it, I'll do that too.
Yeah. Bob Ross, he says there's no such thing as mistakes. There's only happy accidents. There's only happy accidents. So
Yeah, I'm sure it's the same with cakes too.
Yeah, it is.
all right. So going on to entrepreneurship. So this podcast is about entrepreneurship, leadership, and finance. With entrepreneurship, it's going to be like a little bit more informal conversation, but business license. So what's the process? Like, what is?
So I did a lot of research. Actually, Mike helped me with a lot of stuff for saturated soil, like the LLC, the business license, and the seller's license. The LLC and the seller's license came in clutch when the difference between patenting something and copywriting is patenting something, you're patenting a physical, tangible product that you can offer to somebody else. The LLC and the trademark is for like a symbol, right? Like we have like iPhone or whatever. And so I'm not sure exactly what you would need, but if you would want to protect one create, you would probably want an LLC so that it's on record. And then you can get it notarized and stuff like that. But it's important to have because, like we were talking about earlier, there's haters out there, and for example, somebody's hating on you and your cakes and like, oh, this, that, and the third. If you have an LLC, you're protected. Like Mike was saying, it can be up to $2 million, or people can't come and take your own personal assets. So I think it's like an important umbrella that you kind of have, and then so it kind of differentiates on what business you have. And like what service you offer to other people or what products you offer to people. Okay. Just do some research on it. We'll help you, dog. Mike helped me a ton. I ended up doing Saturated Soil LLC and then having a seller's license also for like products and then like t-shirts and stuff like that. So if somebody does want to ask me for it, I'm just bam, here it is.
And then they can't trademark. Nobody else can take your trademark, right? That's
so once you have an LLC, it kind of does exactly that because it's it's under that name. But you can also go, you can get it notarized, or you can do it. So I have a name and a symbol, the S with the trees and stuff. So I would want to get that trademarked so that nobody could use my symbol without me knowing, and if they did, they could be in a lot of trouble.
I see. All right. Okay, cool. Because right now I'm just like I'm sort of like a freelancer. I mean, I have an assistant now, and when we have profit, we're just gonna like split it.
And things also differentiate when you have employees.
Right.
So when it comes to like your taxes and stuff, you'll get in the mail, and then you'll have to do some different things because you have an employee. Right. So be prepared for that.
Absolutely. So you know how many? So last year's not tax, but gas receipts I saved up from last year. A lot. I was like, I could write a book. Those gas receipts, man. I was just like, dude, that's a lot. But yeah, so with entrepreneurship, I just learned a lot, man. You learn all about tax codes, the mileage that you use, the things that you buy. It can be anything can be a tax write-off. Your cell phone bill can be a tax write-off and stuff like that. So, how about you, Mike? What did you learn through entrepreneurship with all these like processes and stuff like that? So,
well, definitely, there's, people use a lot of terms and stuff like LLC, right? Like limited liability and all that kind of stuff. And just like with anything else, right? I love analogies, right? So if somebody's gonna go to the gym and they're like, hey, you know what, man, I want to get jacked, right? I want to be ripped. And they're like, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to start working out and start exercising. Well, they have to learn proper form and technique so that they don't get injured. It's the same thing with a business. So you got to learn how to operate within the confines of the law and, as far as like taxes and all that kind of stuff, so that you don't get hurt. But then it's also so that you don't hurt others on accident, right? Mm-hmm. Like if, is to protect both the producer and the consumer. Mm. And so you you gotta figure that out, and that's one of those challenges, right? Earlier we kind of talked about like some of the challenges that are associated with doing what you love and pursuing your passion. Well, one of the challenges is going to be
the business side.
Yep, the business side, right? Like figuring out how to do this as legit as possible, because if not, it can be taken from you. And there's nothing worse than achieving. You work hard, you achieve your goal, you grasp your dream, it's in your hand, and then it gets taken. It all gets taken away from you and stuff, and you're left with nothing. And there's a lot of red tape and all that kind of stuff, and some states make it a lot more difficult than others, right? We're in California right now, so it's like if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, right?
Yeah.
If you can start a business in California, then you can
yeah
you can do it anywhere else. I mean, there's a lot of hoops to jump through and this, that, and the other, but all those policies and stuff, I always say very often rules, laws, and policies are written in blood, right? It's something that somebody along the way did, and somebody got hurt somehow, and now hey, now we got a new speed limit. Now we have this, now we have that, and so figuring out how to do it safely, and the thing is, at the gym, right, they always say, if you can't pit the weight back, then don't pick it up, right? So it's the same thing with a business and stuff like that. The way it goes and stuff is like, if you're gonna start it, work your way towards being legit. And the thing is, I think sometimes people think, oh, I have to know all the ins and outs of being a business owner in order for me to start a business. No, you don't. It takes time. You're gonna learn along the way, right? You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna be like, oh, okay, I just need this license or this certificate, and then find out later on, oh, I need another one over here, or oh, that was the wrong one for this style of business that I'm operating and stuff like that, right? It's gonna be a learning process, and that's that whole aspect of nobody sees the building process. They just see the end result, right? Like nobody saw what these mega businesses like Amazon and stuff, like nobody saw what that guy was doing along the way. So
can I add something to that?
Yeah.
When you also it is tough to get certain licenses and LLCs and stuff, but when you do get them, there's a lot of things that you can use to your advantage after you do have it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do like certain business loans or even grants that will grant you, up to $200,000 and it's a grant, so you don't have to pay that back. So as long as you have an LLC, so there's a lot of cool things that you can do once you obtain those licenses and stuff like that too.
How about you, Maneesha? Do you face any challenges right now with your business, or
Yeah,
when it comes to like tax season and stuff?
it's exactly what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
That's I don't know where to start, and my boyfriend he's looking into all that stuff just like you guys. Mm-hmm. So luckily he's the brains behind the cakes. Because I just want to focus on cakes. That's all I want to do. Exactly. I just want to produce the cakes. So that's my big challenge right now.
Yeah, when it comes to start a business, man, when you just want to focus on like me, I just want to focus on producing and making videos and filmmaking. You really have to hire somebody else who's like good at taxes, and somebody who's a financial advisor, and then you have somebody who's like like a lawyer or a business lawyer. It really is a process, man. It's like Mike said, it's a learning experience.
It is. I remember calling some lawyers when I wanted to start my LLC, and I ended up calling, I think it was Cal State University. They had like an attorney team that you could call for free and then get like a free, and then they transferred me to like a professional out in like Stanford or something. I was like, okay. And I was prepared to pay however much for the first hour we talked on the phone. and I had some questions about Business License LLC. And he is like, I started talking to this dude, and I'm like, okay, man, I'm gonna have to cash out at the end of this. And we actually ended up having a really good conversation. And he gave me a bunch of pointers on how to do an LLC, or in what kind, or if I needed a lawyer to do it for me, or if I could do it myself. And turns out I was able to do it myself. And he was like, dude, don't even worry about it. Like, it was a great conversation. If you need anything else, just call me back and we can get it figured out. So that was like a really cool learning experience for me. He gave me a bunch of pointers on, which LLC I needed, and that I could do it on my own myself, which actually saves you a lot of money in the long run.
Yeah, to our audience, if you're starting a business, do your due diligence, do your research, get some capital money, use some of that capital money to, buy an LLC, hire a business lawyer, because it's definitely a must. It's a need. So
just contact the people that have done it
yep.
before you, and that
Absolutely.
are way more educated in the field than you are, and then you can just pick up off that. Like, I remember coming to Mike some nights like, bro, I need help. Like, how do I do this? And Mike was like, don't even trip, dude, I'm on it. And he would find a bunch of information for me, and I would go through it and pick out what applied to me. And good boys.
I think the biggest challenge into that too is the startup cost, is the capital to buy the LLC, to hire a business lawyer, because that's the major challenge I'm actually facing right now. It's just like, how am I going to pay for this? I need to start saving up and start signing up for that. So it's a startup cost.
And I think that's where utilizing that stepping stone job, that stepping stone profession to kind of to help build that, to provide that capital.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Slow progression, still progression, boys. slow progression is still progression, man. Yeah, sometimes when you see successful entrepreneurs, they don't become successful until like 10 years when they start up their business. It takes time. So, I mean, I didn't know who Elon Musk was until 2000.
It was too late, baby.
2014. And I was like, what the heck is this? Electric cars. I was like, I didn't even know he was in the Iron Man 2 movie. I was just like, oh, he was in Iron Man 2. I was like, what? Elon Musk, dude. Yes, he did. Yeah, he actually started entrepreneurship in 2000, early 2000, yeah. All right, so why is success a lonely path? Do you think sometimes success can be a lonely path?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we can all agree that, entrepreneurship is like, it's not some steadily fantastic road. Like you were saying, sometimes you have to reply to things for 2 hours to a bunch of people with demanding requests from those that you don't know. Not that you don't want to do it, but it can be a lot sometimes, and especially if you have, other friends and people around you that are not entrepreneurs, that can be tough, because it's like we don't have the same vision. Like, you don't know. But Mike was saying also, a lot of it's not because they want you to do bad or fail. They want to protect you and keep you like safe and comfortable. But it's like, no, dude, I'm trying to get to the stars. I'm on the clouds right now. Like, people just don't see things like you do when you have, an astronomical vision for where you want your life to go. Like, I want to be up there, like I want to be on vacation somewhere, and it's like, I'm not going to be able to get that unless I don't chase this thing down relentlessly. And a lot of people are comfortable, so they don't really understand what that feels like, or to be super hungry for something, or you want to change your kid. I don't have children yet, but you want to change your children's lives. Like, I'm going to chase this down tooth and nail until I get it. And a lot of people, maybe they're not in that same position, so they don't really understand what that hunger feels like,
Maneesha, have you experienced any pushback when you started making sweets, making cakes, from like friends, family? Yeah, like any challenges there?
It would probably be when I was doing the cakes full time. I would spend 12 hours a day in the kitchen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm not I'm not even exaggerating. So I was missing out on that people interaction and doubting myself. And like, should I really do this? But
I'm feeling right. I'm feeling that today, right? Like
yeah.
every day.
Yeah, but you just have to fight through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I do the cakes part-time now, because it's a good balance between working alone on my cakes and then doing customer service, getting that people interaction. Because I noticed too, when I didn't have that people interaction, I just was like enclosed in just myself in the business, like 24/7. The business was just running through my head.
Yeah.
So
Like that could drive you crazy at
Yeah.
some points.
yeah,
Like, tired.
But you also have a big support group, right? Like you have your mom, you have your boyfriend, you have a
Instagram
member.
followers.
Yeah.
Like, dude, this is legit. Yeah.
it's a crazy thing. I never knew that there was this whole community of small business owners on Instagram who just comment and like and message each other like crazy.
Yeah.
Like a lot of what I see on my Instagram page, my business Instagram page, is just other women in Sonoma County who have photography businesses, cake businesses, cookie businesses, those like acrylic stuff, everything. And we don't know each other, like we've never met, but we all know each other on
You're all in the same
Instagram.
boat.
Yeah.
Same
It's really
run.
cool.
And what's the Instagram group again, or this community?
It's just people who found you
Okay.
that have their own business, and they follow you, and they post you on their stories.
Okay.
They comment on everything you make, and when you do that, they see that you're doing that, and they will continue to promote you.
It's a boost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dope.
That's how I got my following, is because of them
Because of other people.
and other people. Yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Finance. Mike's favorite subject. Generational wealth. It's my favorite subject too. Finance, because I didn't know about Dave Ramsey until I learned about minimalism. But yeah, building generational wealth. I think we can all agree in this table that doing what we love is also finding the income to support our families, to support loved ones, and also building generational wealth to build to give our success and the money to if you have children someday, and somebody that could benefit, use the help or benefit from that. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think the finance aspect is huge, right? I saw this thing the other day, and Jay and I were talking about it, right? And it was the whole topic, or the whole that saying, like, money doesn't buy happiness. And to an extent, yes, you can't walk into a happiness store and give somebody $100 bills and walk out with happiness. But what money does provide, though, is it provides the necessary tools to have a lifestyle that is easier. Right? Yep, more comfortable, right? It provides the tools that you need to have more comprehensive and better health care. It provides your children with a easier access to higher education. It provides you with lifestyle and life experiences, such as travel. So when it comes to generational wealth, we gotta break that term down. So wealth, right? Like we're all familiar with riches. Riches are, houses, cars, things like that, right? Well, in wealth, though, wealth is measured in time, right? It's like, okay, well, how much time am I having to dedicate per day, per week, per month, per year in support of my riches, in support of my house, in support of my car? So wealth is the ultimate goal is to have all of your liabilities covered by your assets, right? To where every single month, all of your bills are paid based off of not how many hours a week you're working, all right, but solely based off of that passive income, right?
Right.
So then we look at the generational aspect of that, and it's passing that time, that freedom of time, down to those who come after you. A lot of times, when it comes to generational wealth, a lot of people focus on just the financial aspect of it, right? But the same way how there's health, right? There's financial health, there's physical health, there's mental health, there's spiritual health, right? All of that stuff can also be passed down, generationally. Maneesha touched on it earlier, right? She said, her mother is somebody who really, really inspired her to be who she is today, right? So her mother, some of the generational wealth that her mother gave her was the entrepreneurial spirit. I met Jay's parents. I know some of the values and stuff like that they've instilled in him. I see it. I see the relationship that they have, the love and stuff. So that love, that's some of the spiritual generational wealth that they passed down to Jay. So often, yes, there is financial wealth that somebody can pass down from one generation to the next, but we also need to focus on the mental, right? The love of learning. Pass that down to those who come behind you. Physical fitness, proper diet, nutrition, exercise. Pass that down. Make that something that if you didn't have it, provide it to those who are coming after you, right? Spiritual and emotional health, right? What it means to be happy, defining what it means to feel fulfilled, right? You guys have all spoken about how when you are creating and when you're giving to others, that feeling. So pass that down, create that generational wealth in those aspects.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I like that. Did you guys add anything to that, Jay, or you're good?
No, I'm gonna leave that right there.
It's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are close to our conclusion. Let's say some miscellaneous talking points. I actually had one in mind. Okay, yeah, here we go. Maneesha, what do you want to share to the audience about like any successful habits that you do every day that thrust you towards success, or just how do you become 1% better? Like what?
A lot of it is reaching my goals. Like I mentioned earlier, I have to finish every challenge that I take, because when I give up, I can tell it brings me down. Like I wasn't able to finish something. It's a lot of that, and I write down all my thoughts. That's what helps me, and I write down my goals, and I make sure that everything on that list is crossed. And I work really hard, and that's what my mom instilled in me, because I've seen how hard she works, and so you just really have to put in the work, because if I didn't put the work into the business, it wouldn't be a bunch of messages coming in every day. It wouldn't be able to grow. Yeah.
Nice. I like that. That's one of my biggest challenges right now is prioritizing. Planning and prioritizing is probably my
You gotta have a
weakness.
plan, schedule.
Dude, it sucks. You know how it feels like when you plan something and you plan something of doing it, but it doesn't get done.
It hurts a little bit.
It hurts, and it's just like, dude, I gotta push this off till tomorrow, and then like the that feeling of procrastination just hit. I was just like, dude, why did I do that? And it's like, dude, we all have 24 hours in a day, and that's what's hard too with the challenge is having a full-time job while building a business. It's like you really have to prioritize your time. You have to feel like, okay, what can I do what task can be done in the next 15, 20 minutes. Do that, boom, next task can be done in the next 15 minutes. On top of that, with a family in tow, with a daughter, my wife, you know, she was like yelling from downstairs, honey, can you watch Ellie real quick while I go cook, whatever. I'm just like, oh, great. And then when I have my daughter in my office, it's like, all right, stay right there, read a book. All right, I'm gonna do something real quick. And you know, she's, how do I put it in a nice way? I don't want to say distraction, but she's a happy distraction in a way, because I'm just like, yeah, she's 3, so you know, I'm working, I'm editing stuff, or I'm writing my outline, and you know, she's like, Daddy, can I watch Minnie Mouse toys? I'm just like, oh, come on. It's like I'm in the zone, but like, you know what? I was just like, I'm happy. I'm distracted by my daughter, because I'm just like, you know what? I'm never gonna have this time with her again. So that priority of her just having that attention is just like, all right, you want some dad time? I'll give you some dad time. But yeah, it's challenging, bro. It really is for me. How about you, Jay?
Um, Sometimes dealing, you know, with like the work schedule and stuff, it can get a little tired, especially like I do electrical work, so some of it's kind of like physical work, or you know, during the summer it's hot outside, and you know, when you get home, you don't necessarily want to get cranking on some, you know, on business stuff right away. You kind of like want to rehydrate and eat some water, or excuse me, drink some water and chill. Or, you know, I don't want to run straight to the gym. I'm kind of just like, oh, I'd rather just kind of post step. But, you know, that's where the discipline kicks in. And then I think, you know, how am I going to feel if today, right, I'm in bed and I'm like, I could skip the gym today, but I'm like, how are you going to, you know how you're going to feel when you don't go. Like, you're going to be all crabby, you're going to be a podcast, like, ugh. But I think that's where the discipline kicks in, and I'm always happy that I do those tough things, especially after like a long day, even if it's till like 12 at night or whatever, or the artwork. And because once I finish it, like, you know, my parents always taught me, like, you start something, you finish it, dude. Like, no matter what it is, you know. And I'm sure you guys can relate to that. But you know, putting that time and effort in when you don't want to, or when you're tired, or after work, and I think that's where the real progress, and like that's when you start to see the results.
Yeah, that's definitely the universe telling you, hey, get your ass up, get it.
You don't have time to play.
Don't
Tomorrow isn't promised.
You gotta do it right now.
Yeah.
You know. How about you, Mike? Any successful habits or any challenges that you're facing?
Yeah, definitely. You know, we're all facing challenges, right? Like, we're all facing challenges. Every single listener out there is facing challenges because we live in a chaotic universe. At any given moment, right, there's a countless number of struggles that are going on around us at all times, right? Like right now, I guarantee you, you know, there's a fly right now in a spider's web, you know, struggling, right, somewhere near us, right? I mean, you know, you just driving through a parking lot of a busy shopping center, right? There's vehicles moving in, moving out, right? There's birds fighting over scraps of bread. You know, there's constant chaos, right? People think that peace is something that they're just gonna happen upon, or just gonna be walking through like down the street or something like that and just stumble upon peace. No, like, peace isn't the norm of the universe. It's actually like the accepted, like that's like something that you have to create, right? Like, you'd have a better chance of walking in the woods and finding a cell phone that grew from the ground versus, you know, you walking through the woods and finding peace. So when it comes to like challenges, everybody, you know, there's, you know, over 7 billion people on the planet Earth. Every single one of them is going to face challenges, but habits themselves, they're built up over time. All right. It takes time to form a habit, good or bad. You know, good habits take time, bad habits take time. So for me, to help me form good habits, what I do is, and I actually got this from Zach. Every day I have a to-do list. All right. And I make sure that I knock off 5 things off of my to-do list every day. And if I knock off those 5 things, then I add to my win pile. If I don't, I add to my loss pile, right? And I celebrate those wins at the end of the day. All right, I'll sit down at the end of the day, and if it's a win, I celebrate it because our brains, right? It's all working off chemicals and stuff like that, right? All those endorphins and stuff. So by celebrating every time that I knock something off that list, it motivates me to do that again, right? You're just like, oh man, I really want that feeling again. And then at the end of the day, when I'm celebrating, the overall day, it's like, boom, I feel really good. Now, on a day where I don't knock out my task, I sit there and I don't beat myself up, but I sit there and I focus. I'm like, hey, where could I have gotten
Evaluate it.
Exactly, right? Where could I have done more? Where could I, maybe instead of me, watching, binge watching a couple of episodes of whatever show, could I have done this instead? All right, boom, and then I hit it harder the next day, right? Anything I don't finish, right? It gets carried over. So, and in that way, I'm able to form a habit of getting things done.
Nice. Maneesha, you only work with your baking, you work Monday through Saturdays, and you have Sundays off mostly, or Saturdays is also like.
I work a part-time job
right
at a bank, and hours are really great because I work 3 to 4 days a week, and then on my off days, I spend time working on my cakes. So it's a really nice balance, and my job is just to pay the bills. That's all it is. Yeah. And then the money that I make from my cakes, I save it. I reinvest it into the business, and then I use it as fun money too, because you have to treat yourself.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to, because you have to. It's a must, man. It's just like you have to celebrate those wins. Sweet. Well, we are close. We are in conclusion now. Maneesha, where can people find you?
They can find me on my Instagram.
Okay.
It's Sweets by Maneesha, and that's all I have.
No problem. No problem. But you said in the future you'll have a
in
website.
The future,
website.
Yeah, in the future I want to have a website, and that's when I build up my wedding portfolio. That's when I want to move up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but
how many weddings are you doing this year?
I lost count.
That said it all right there.
That's how good she is.
I think it's 5 or 6.
Oh, wow.
I can't remember.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a good amount.
Yeah, I started like the first wedding. It gave me so much clients. That's like the biggest step in my business was that first wedding.
Yeah. Nice.
And then Maneesha, you mind spelling it for the Instagram? Maneesha.
It's
so Sweets by Maneesha.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, my name's not common.
Yeah.
My mom just had to pick the craziest name. But it's Sweets by Maneesha. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Right on.
Instagram at Sweets by Maneesha. So go ahead, check her out. Follow her, give her the support, give her the love.
We'll put it in the link too, right?
Yes, well, yeah, I always put it
Alright,
there
cool.
too. So, but yeah, Maneesha, thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely.
This is great.
Yeah.
It's such an honor.
Absolutely. Thanks for the snacks.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
No, I had a lot of fun, and you guys are a great group of people. I felt like I feel like this having a conversation is just not common anymore. Yeah. So thanks for having this space, and
Of course.
very easy to talk to. I learned so much today too.
Yeah. Awesome.
Absolutely. But before we close out, what kind of podcast do you listen to? Do you listen to like inspirational leadership or?
I listen to very girly podcasts.
No problem. All right. That's
very, very girly advice, drama, pop
Hey, whatever
culture.
puts you in the zone.
Yeah, whatever puts you in the zone.
Yeah, whatever.
Keep
it's
doing
working.
what you're doing.
Absolutely.
For sure.
All right, everyone. This concludes our show, episode 6 in the books. We will see you guys soon. All right. Bye.
Sunrise, sunfall. Same place yet I made it so far. Same name but I changed through the art in my own brain, going through a third world war.
Hello there, fellow listeners. The Table Podcast is now accepting donations from the audience. So if you like the value we provide, please donate at anchor.fm/onecreate/support. Your monthly contribution will assist us in acquiring better equipment, sustaining future episodes, having larger guests, providing more value, and pursuing full-time production. That's anchor.fm/onecreate/support. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Mike, Jay, Zach, and I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Yeah, yo, the stakes is high. Yeah, the stakes still high. The stakes still high. Yo, the stakes still high. Said the stakes still high. The stakes still high. Yo, the stakes still high. These days, cats will die for anything. Preteen raps, grown gas cap on everything. If you seem outside the box, you not industry. Everybody's auto-tuned, tattoos, skinny.